Hello everyone. I'm back from this just incredible journey in France and just feeling like the journey was so much about the rivers from day one. We began walking to Chartres Cathedral, one of the most famous ones, and we ended up walking on the river Uri, which is the beginning of the word Europe. It comes from the goddess Europa. And from that moment, every day we seem to roll through these incredible, graceful rivers of France. Um, we're going to be looking at this whole month really is going to be about downloading or uploading the codes of this beautiful country. I'm really glad Beatrice has just popped in. So she actually joined just before I was going to France, and we actually managed to meet in this incredible rose garden that had 1,500 roses in it, types of rose. So we had this really beautiful meeting, and yeah, and hopefully, Beatrice, you'll be able to contribute. I was just saying how much the journey in France for me was about the rivers and the graceful rivers, and we've actually come back, and Adam found a book his mother had and made notes in about the rivers, three of the rivers in France, the Lot, the Dordogne, and the Tarn, which are two of those are two that we interacted with. So our journey this month is going to be sharing the codes, if you like, of the journey as I experienced it, and looking for the collective themes in that. So even if you have nothing to do with France, you've never been there, just imagine it as this incredible divine feminine la belle energy on the earth that we can all kind of be part of, really. So today we're going to look at Melusine. I'm going to begin and just do a little demo on astro.com, so you know how to look up your Melusine if you don't know where it is. And then I've got a presentation we can look at, and then we can talk about Melusine. There's already some amazing synchronicities with Patricia when she came on. It's like, wow. Her Melusine is at North Scorpio, which is on this kind of scorpion line I found out about going through France, a dragon line. And Milena, you've got some amazing synchronicities too. So let's crack on. So we have lots of time for conversation. As I say, I'm going to start today with astro.com. I usually like to use Taraka for these, because Taraka gives you both your astrology placement and it gives the gene key human design placement. So it's really handy to have both, but not everything is on Taraka. And so we will have a look at astro.com, which is another website that you can use for free. So if you put in astro.com, this is just an article I pulled up, and then you can do a free chart and you go up to the corner to My Astro, and it'll open that. And I'm going to add new astro data here, and we're going to look at Lee's chart. I'm just going to put Lee, her first name. She's female. Why isn't that working? Female. Okay, so I'll just quickly put this data in. And then show you how to do the extended chart. This is the tricky thing with this. If you've never done it before, it can be a bit like, hey, what on earth is all that about? Actually, that's PM 22:55, country, whole world, Africa, birth town. Okay, continue. So now in my chart, Lee is going to appear there, and I'm going to open the chart, and it pops up this, and there's one there that's called Extended Chart Selection, and you want to click on that. And these are ones I've saved before. I think it's 373. I haven't got it in front of me now. So every asteroid has a number, and you can easily Google the number for Magdalena. We're going to do Medusa, and it will pop up the number. So I've put 373 in there, and we're going to put show the chart. And yes, here we pull up that Melusine for you, Lee, you can write this down, is at 12 degrees of Virgo, 41 minutes, and it's conjunct Pluto, life, death, rebirth stuff. So there should be a significant archetype for you, actually. Okay, so astro.com will only give you the astrology. And so there is this other document, which if you want this, I know I've sent it to some of you already, you can ask me for it. Can you see that on the screen? I've opened it up. Yeah, yes. Okay. So you go through the signs of the zodiac. This is called the HD synthesis document. It's available from human design websites. And so we're going to look at gene key 12, 12 degrees Virgo, 44 minutes is gene key 64, line 2. So write that down, Lee. 64, line 2. So Melusine and illumination. So yeah, as I say, if any of you ever want this document, which helps you let you know, like if something is in the zodiac, what gene key it actually is. That is what this is all about. Yeah, okay. So, Milena, do you know where your Melusine is? Oh, yes, you do. You looked it up. Yeah. Okay. Ignore that question. I know you do. Okay. Okay, so let's return to Melusine. I actually bumped into Melusine about a year ago. I just ended a relationship. I went on about 9 months traveling. And part of my journey was I went to France then, and I also went to Scotland, and I picked up the trail of Melusine then. So it was quite interesting. Like we hadn't planned this at all, but as we were approaching a place called Poitiers in France, Adam said, "Oh, that's where Melusine is from." And so we went around that area, Lucine, and had a wonderful time. So the word Lu means light, by the way, that appears in Melusine and Lucinia. I'm probably pronouncing it terribly wrong. is all about light. Um, so if this journey was all about water, I feel Melusine is famous for being a goddess of springs. And, so springs seem so magical, don't they? This water that just erupts from the earth, and rivers may flow from it. And I actually found the source of the river where Melusine is from. So that was really amazing. I'll show you a picture in a bit. So I'm going to show you my little presentation here I've made. Okay, present. Okay, so I've called her Timeless Melusine because she's in Gene Key 5 at the moment. So whenever a gene key, I mean, an asteroid pops up for you, it's interesting to see what gene key that asteroid is actually in at that time. And what energy she's kind of into at this moment in time is moving from the shadow of impatience to the gift of patience and the city of timelessness. Um, I haven't spelled that right, have I? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was quite interesting because I was actually really tuning into also Gene Key 28 in this journey, which is immortality. And timelessness and immortality have that kind of capacity to stretch us out and help us see the bigger picture of what's going on. So this particular picture of Melusine is was taken at a place called Le Puy, which we visited afterwards. And Le Puy is a really interesting place where Adam lived for about 6 months. And it has these two incredible geological rock formations. They're very thin, like needles going up into the sky. And on one of them is a huge Madonna and child. And on the other one is this chapel to Saint Michael, which is very significant because St. Michael's Mount is just across the bay there. So a sort of strong connection with these hilltop, very ancient sacred places. And we went up to this chapel, and this sculpture of Melusine is actually along the top as you enter into this chapel. So she appeared quite a few times again, Melusine, on the journey. So if you remember, our Venus star point we're working with in this cycle is the 35. It's called the gene key of wormholes and miracles. And it's this gift of adventure moving into boundlessness. So boundlessness, timelessness, immortality, they're all about us kind of being released from a very limited idea of who we are and what we're doing. And as we are released from that, we find these wormholes where we can make these leaps in consciousness. So the backdrop of the whole journey for me was Venus, the exploration of the rose windows in the cathedrals, but also Beatrice then introduced this actual rose garden, a rosary garden, and where we met. And this was one of the roses that's just like, whoa, the beauty of it. So the whole time I was like thinking of Venus as like the cosmic origin of feminine wisdom. And Venus herself, you know, the myth of Venus is that she's born from the ocean, she's born from water, and the power born of water and just the magic, the versatility of water seemed all very much part of this. And as I say, Melusine is associated especially with springs. So let me tell you a bit about her really amazing story. So the myth of Melusine actually first arises is about Avalon in the UK, i.e. Glastonbury. And we discovered also another Avalon in France along the way. So there was this whole interweaving of stories. So the first, one of the first written accounts of Melusine's story is by Jean d'Irac in 1450 to 1500. So it's a very, very old story. And his version is actually trying to put Melusine in a much more positive light for the wealthy ruling family, who I will tell you a bit about in the story, that Melusine is the kind of protector actually of a number of families and land-owning families. So, but the story begins actually it doesn't begin in Avalon. But anyway, Melusine's mother is called Procine, and she's a water spirit. And she marries and she's a fairy woman, and she marries a king of Scotland. But there's one condition in this marriage, and that is that he should never see her after she's given birth or during giving birth. So it always feels like there's something in this beginning of the story that's about the kind of shame, the secretiveness around female bodies and, you know, kind of the messiness of giving birth, that Melusine's mother doesn't want her father to ever see her in that way. So Procine gives birth to triplets. So you could imagine, actually, I've never given birth, but that would be quite something, giving birth to 3 babies at once. But when the father finds out, he's so overexcited that he forgets about the one condition on the marriage, and he barges in out of excitement, really. So it always feels quite tragic to me, because everything starts to go wrong from this moment of his intrusion. Melusine's mother says, right, that's it, you've got to go, you know, marriage over, basically. You broke the rules, the marriage is over. And it ends, but Melusine's mother is still kind of in love with the father, the Scottish king, and he's in love with her. So it's like, why couldn't forgiveness, or couldn't there have been a bit of leeway here? But for some reason, there's this kind of thing happens and it all blows apart. So there are these 3 girls, these triplets, and when they reach 15, they find out the truth of what happened with their father. And 2 of them are a bit more forgiving, but Melusine isn't. She wants to take revenge on her father, and she persuades the other sisters to participate in the revenge, and they lock the father into a fairy mountain. Now, what was kind of weird is some of you will remember Lorna, who was in our group for a while, from Scotland. And me and Lorna were about to walk up a fairy mountain in Inverness when the story first came to me. So that was like, wow. Um, anyway, so that's the kind of backdrop. And because Melusine commits this act of revenge, her mother's very angry with her, and she is sent to live by this spring in France. Her other sisters also are punished, but this is Melusine's punishment. And part of her punishment is that every Saturday she turns into a serpent. So she has a serpent tail with wings, which you can see in the image here. And so eventually Melusine meets a man called Raymondin by the spring, and they fall in love. And the condition of that marriage is he can never see her on a Saturday. And that kind of works out for about 10 years. But then apparently due to the suspicion of Raymondin's family, his brother keeps saying, well, maybe she's having an affair, maybe what is she doing on a Saturday? Surely you should know what your wife is up to, And so eventually he spies on her and sees the tale, and he publicly condemns her as a serpent woman. And so that marriage is then over as well. So there's these kind of tragedies through this mythical story of intrusions by the masculine into the feminine, and the huge implications somehow that those have. It feels like in both stories there's this theme of not certain parts of being not wanting to be seen. So the messiness of giving birth, perhaps, and also it's like the serpent's tail represents something in Melusine that took revenge. It's like the dark goddess in Melusine is her tail, and then her husband sees this, and they can never kind of come back from that. And one of the things with the dark goddess energies is how difficult they are to manage, because sometimes they get out the bag and they destroy relationships and they upturn everything. And they can be things like revenge, jealousy, rage. This somehow sometimes the dark goddess appears as these very difficult emotional experiences. So for me in the moment, this is me in the spring here. I will show you a closer up image of my face. Looks quite amazing. So Adam took this picture, and it was so amazing. Like, we found this walk in the forest, and then we found the source of the spring, just this little spring, and it was full of nuts and golden sand. And I just took off my clothes, had my costume, and climbed in and just like bathed myself in this water. And I felt so incredibly beautiful while I was in it. And then Adam showed me the picture, and I saw my tummy. I was like, oh, my tummy, it looks so huge. And it kind of triggered these feelings. And yes, so I felt this kind of thing that I've felt with Melusine all along. Is about like the acceptance of our female forms, that they're not all uniform. We all probably, even if we have the most amazing body, we probably all have something that we don't like, that we're trying to hide, that we feel is ugly. And I know in Britain, like, a woman's magazine did a survey, and something like 85% of women don't like their bodies, which seems like massive. This is a massive issue, that women don't like themselves, their bodies, and feel like we have to be perfect. Um, so what I always look for in these archetypal stories is A, what I'm tuning into in any moment in time. And this is what I invite you to do. Like, what stands out in Melusine's story for you? So that was one issue, that's called loving, accepting my body. And the other thing is this thing about when you don't forgive a situation, things can go really badly wrong. You're like, wouldn't forgiveness have been easier? But actually, something came up for me. A situation where someone slipped me a drug many years ago that I found so hard to forgive, and it came up again this week. And it was so hard to forgive because that person was never sorry about it. Um, and so that's another issue that kind of came up, that kind of things where it's really hard to forgive, just try. I think I've gone through forgiveness processes about 20 times with this person, and it's still there, still feeling it. And then the final thing for me is the secrecy and respect in the feminine mysteries. Um, and we find that in things like The Red Tent. I don't know if any of you have seen that film, but it's based on the Bible, actually, the Old Testament. So from early times, women menstruating would go off into a red tent, and they would have their own ceremonies and everything. I mean, there was the other side that men thought they were dirty and whatever. So that feels like maybe part of the need for mystery is that kind of maybe disgust of the masculine. But it feels like that is something changing in our world. Like, a lot more men are at births now than ever were in the past, for example. And then the other thing is the dangers of the immature masculine in the feminine mysteries. And that reminded me of the Inanna Dumuzi myth, which I think is significant because Dumuzi is given his power as a king and his wealth through the goddess Inanna. And in the same way, these wealthy families in France are given their wealth through their association with Melusine. Um, so there's this thing about wealth and fertility come with the goddess, but then you have to respect her and honor her. And what happened with Dumuzi is he was made king, and then he kind of forgot about where his power came from. And so Inanna comes out of the underworld, and Dumuzi hasn't even realized she's gone. So she gets really upset with him. And so he gets actually sacrificed into the underworld. So this thing about the masculine coming into the feminine mysteries, but actually being ready for that. And it felt like me and Adam were in a place where that was possible and able to unfold in a really lovely way. And it feels quite Aquarian, actually. So I'm not going to say too much on this, but this is where Melusine was at 8 degrees of Sagittarius on the day I was in the spring. Lusignan, that's what the place is called. I'll write it in the chat afterwards. And interestingly, she's in a fire trine to Mercury in Leo and the North Node in Aries. So she's got this quite fiery energy going on. Okay, so let me go back down with that. And So here is Beatrice's chart. She's got loads of asteroids on there, as you can see. So I'm just going to open it up. So I'll when I finish this, Beatrice, you can pop in and say what your experience is of Melusine as well. So can see here that Melusine is at 29 degrees of Libra, um, which is gene key 50. Interesting because that is the alignment to that Scorpio line. And although there's lots of years difference between you and Patricia here, her Melusine is at 0 degrees Scorpio. So your Melusines are like really close together and aligned to the Scorpio line, which is gene key 50. We just worked that out before everyone came on. So Melusine, and then we can look at what other asteroids are with her. So Circe is with her, and we've done Circe. We did Circe in some depths in the last few months in this group. And what stood out for me is that for Melusine, the monster part of her is represented by her tail. And in the Circe myth, Circe turns Scylla, who kind of steals her boyfriend, into a sea monster. So in both cases, you have this kind of unacceptable revenge kind of energy, jealousy, revenge. And these are really hard lessons for Circe that she has to learn about through her journey. She gets sent to an island on her own, and my feeling from there's a wonderful book about Circe, and just reading that book, you get a real sense of how her whole karmic lessons are about this working with jealousy and revenge and standing in her own sovereign power and not allowing the masculine to kind of dictate what's going to happen. Very hard. And my whole journey in my relationship is so connected with that single issue is like at the heart of it, really. And then, interestingly, on the other side, we have Vada, who is a fairy queen. So, perfect, really, for Melusine, because Melusine's ancestry is all this otherworldly, fairy kind of energy. And yeah, so that's pretty cool, really. So I just wrote like, themes I pick up immediately from that are the monster inside and outside, working with jealous feelings, strong connection to otherworldliness, and also plant medicine, because Circe is all about plant medicine. I think you mentioned Medea as well, somewhere, Beatrice as well. So, and of course, Beatrice and I connected through the rose medicine. So that felt like really perfect as well. And I think the rose is like our flower for this cycle, the rose medicine. So this photo, it had my huge tummy in, but I loved how my eye came out in this leaf. And so my final sort of message I wanted to share is just like I feel this like mischief playfulness of the water nymph of Melusine. And that's like her highest frequency, really. And then we've got her timelessness, two of you have got her in the 50, which is the harmony. And yeah, the web of life and the harmony. So all really beautiful stuff there. Okay, so that is my take on Melusine. And so I just want to open it up now for Beatrice. Maybe love to hear from you first as we did your chart today, and then we'll hear from everyone else. Just we've got 25 minutes, so yeah, plenty of time. Do you mind if I keep the recording going?
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay, great.
Yes, I hadn't looked at Melusine before, but since you mentioned it, I looked at it, and I told you at once that she was conjunct Circe and all that, and I already knew that Circe exactly same as Melusine because they are close together. They're both on gate 50, and on the design side, they're on gate 44, and both are parts of the codon rings of the Illuminati. And it's just two of them, two gates and gene keys, and both of them are exactly there. So I thought it's incredible because there are two, and there are just two codon rings, 50 and 44, and they're like circulating that kind of magic energy. Just a parenthesis, I am a white crystal wizard in the Mayan. So I have a lot of magic, and my Uranus on the design side is also on the 50. So there's a lot. I have Isis too at with Uranus. So it's a lot of ancient magic. So I totally feel it. So I love that you're beginning with Melusine, and in France, well, the parts where you have been and you visited, and because I'm both French and Italian, my French family comes from exactly that part of France in the middle, the Poitou, which is the family, les Lusignans, and all that. Avalon is exactly close to where my grandmother was living. It's but I didn't realize that, like I told you, I didn't realize that until everything, I had all the pieces of the puzzle, and little by little they have been put together. And yes, the rose, that's exactly the Rose of Venus. We just don't see what she's doing with her movements, her dance. But in the end, zooming out, we can have the big picture. And that's exactly what we're doing. Both Virgo in the details, but also zooming out and to watch all that. And to me, but it's not just magic, it's also about creation, because magic can be alchemy, but the first magic of all is it's the magic of nature. And it doesn't show here, and it's not Melusine, but I have Humia, which is the creation goddess of Hawaii, and the mother of Pele, the volcanoes. And I have her exactly on my rising, and she is exactly at 0 degrees of Scorpio. So she's exactly on that mix. And to top it all, because I love that, Melusine transit is exactly on my Neptune and my IC right now. So yes, there is that water energy. I think I call that the aqua flame. It's I had mentioned that it's the ley lines, like you mentioned it too, I think a few times before. It's the dragon lines through the water lines, and the serpentine energy. It's a many dark goddesses have it, like Medusa, like Melusine, many others, and it's the yin dark feminine to me, how I feel it. And yes, it's kind of a repression of our darkness, not our badness, but our womanness, feminine quality. And yes, it's like kind of a witch wound also, yes. to be different, where it's not yang energy, it's pure yin. And yes, it's kind of been demonized, like Medusa called the demon star, and which, well, she's not, but she's called like that. So yes, a very, very well. I really feel that. So I don't know what to say, but maybe people have something to say about their own experience, and thank you because I loved meeting you and discussing all that, and well.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And this, so just to say what happened with the scorpion line. So um, Adam's friend Yuri, who's written some books about Glastonbury, posted something on Facebook just as we were preparing to come home about the scorpion line, which goes through Vesuvius, which I'll talk about when we do Magdalene, and Bourges. And the reason he's called it, I think it's him who's called it the Scorpio line, is that it aligns to 0° Scorpio in the zodiac. So it's pretty amazing that two people in this tiny group have, like Beatrice has it at 29 Libra and Patricia has it at 0 Scorpio. It's like, wow. And my Venus is 2° Scorpio. So I'm kind of right on that thing. And yeah, I'd forgotten about Haumea, that she is actually in a long-term transit. Like she's been there at least a couple of years on that 50, end of Jinky 50 point and into 0 Scorpio, that kind of rebirthing energy of Haumea. I kind of see her as New Earth, Haumea, like the codes of New Earth. And it did feel like that this is the journey we're on. It's like these codes are, and they seem so connected with the earth and the water, and they want to kind of flow through us and change us, I guess, from the inside out. So, Melaine or
Can
Patricia?
I add just one thing I had
Yeah, yeah.
forgotten? Very quick. Today is the red magnetic dragon. It's the kin
Uh,
one of the Mayan calendar. And I was looking at this because yesterday, actually, it was the yellow cosmic sun, the last one, the very last one, the 260 kin. And today is the one kin. It's like of a 40.1 gate on the human design. Today is well, you have that period in between the 5th of July, which is the rising of Sirius, and the 25th of July, which is the day out of time. We're in a period in between the 7-7, more or less, and the 8-8, the Lion's Gate. It's a kind of magic portal. And I just wanted to mention that because today, well, I am a red, exactly that, a red cosmic, not cosmic, a magnetic dragon, as in on my design part on the shaman Tolkien. And so I have been so inspired today by this energy, and it's incredible that you're doing this that day. I knew you would be doing that, but I didn't know it was that day. So I just wanted to tell that to everyone. If you want to see that energy, read it. It's so empowering, and it's exactly the dark goddess in the red color, but this red from earth, the mother energy. And well, just wanted to add that.
And actually, the key part of the story is when Melusine's husband sees her in the bath with her tail, she turns into a dragon then. So she kind of embodies both human, dragon, fairy, serpent, all of it. And yeah, thanks for that reminder. So the Lion's Gate is opening. And Adam's actually born on the day out of time as well. So I do feel like his energy is so much like so perfect for this kind of recoding. Okay. So anyone else? And let me know if you want me to pause. Okay, Milena, do you want me to pause the recording?
Actually, no, I'm going to be brave. I'm because I feel like I'm going to speak about those things. I mean, my experiences more publicly anyway soon. So it's like warming up for me. And I'm quite shaken. I was kicked out of the Zoom call, so I lost a few minutes, and I wonder what you said during those 2 minutes. Probably something very important, because this I didn't know that this myth before. It touched me very deeply, and the body image. It's one of my core issues, and for me, unlike to most women, it's not being overweight. I've been very skinny throughout my life, and I was really ashamed of it. And believe me, my how to say that, other women were sometimes very mean to me. You know, they like to point it out that I don't look too feminine according to their standards. So I really, I'm feeling it, and thank you for that, because that wound is about to be healed. I feel. Also, my I've checked where my Melusine is, and it's conjunct my pearl. It's in the 28th degree of Cancer, and it's stacked between two very masculine planets, Jupiter and Mars. So it's like trapped. And I immediately felt this familiar feeling of being controlled by the unhealthy masculine energies. And also, today I realized I've got a mermaid collage. Can you see that? This woman, she's a mermaid, and the Melusine myth is about also giving birth, and not the masculine not being allowed to see the mother who has just given birth. So it I will definitely contemplate that. It's called Pristine Waters, and there is a little lizard here. So also many years ago, when I was in love with a man with very shamanic energies, but really the macho type, lots of he gave me a lot of wounds. But when I was in that relationship, I wrote a story about a mermaid who couldn't swim, and who saved a drowning man with her hair, something like that. So lots of insights, and right now Melusine is the transiting Melusine is touching my life's purpose, 11 degrees of Sagittarius. So I've been doing water dragon snake collages over the last few days. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm complete for now.
I feel the celebratory energy within. And yeah, and may we all love our bodies. That would be a great outcome.
One thing, this art collage, it's a new version. It's called Emergence and Water's Part, because this is water and this is water. So it's like water's part and there's emergence. There's a rebirth. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you so much.
It's so beautiful. If I may
Mhm.
say, it makes me think of the 2027 solar plexus revolution. That picture is beautiful. Thank you.
Do you want the recording off?
No, that's fine. It's
Okay.
on. Good. Yeah, a lot of synchronicities. While you were gone, Allison, where you were, I just picked up on so many things. It was interesting. I was with my family at the time. They were here in Florida. And we were on the ocean and we were on the beach and we were talking about the rose garden and we were talking about my grandmother's roses back at the house I used to live at. So the rose came in, the ocean came in, the water came in. The other thing that was interesting, the first day we started the new mudra and Tara, what she started, I used the word harmony as on the first day in my sharing. I used the word harmony. So I have Gene Key 50.6 as here as my Lucina, however you say it. I know I have a problem with that. But it's 50.6, which is harmony. So I thought it was interesting. I just used that word sharing that just came through me. And it's one Scorpio. It's conjunct my natal Venus, which is in my 4th house at home, but it's also in a grand water trine to my North Node, which is in Pisces, and my Uranus 4, 8, and 12 house. So the other thing that that came up then was this morning. This was very strange. Oh, well, first of all, I did wear my dragon shirt because I was aware that this dragon spell started, but 3 times this month I have had 2 dragons, male, female, coming together in the sky, embracing, like almost kissing, meeting the male and female. Here we were talking about the male and the female balance and coming together in harmony. Oh gee. But in the sky 3 times this month I had 2 dragons in the sky at sunrise, and they were meeting head to head. Beautiful. I posted one on Gene Key's Google today. So the other thing, again, there was 3 women. It was my sister, my niece, and myself. So there was the three triplets, the 3 women, but the synchronicity of 3 living on the river. But the strangest thing was this morning I went to the kitchen sink and I started to turn the water on and I saw a baby salamander. It was an inch long, a baby salamander. And I picked up the dish mat to get it out. And here its tail was off and its tail was still alive and moving, but it was detached from its body. I thought it was so strange, I mean, I couldn't believe it. The little tail's waggling and there's his body. I got it and I put him outside in a plant. but the salamander's gene key 36, which is my attraction. And of course, it's the fear key, and the fear key is the fear of vulnerability. So that's interesting because this also connects into my Scorpio and, you know, with my sexuality, kind of feeling that vulnerability. Thinking, oh, you know, how, you know, it does. You're very vulnerable when you're with someone for the first time. And if you have to be so comfortable in yourself that that doesn't come up, that you're feeling vulnerable. And then with my past, with the trauma that I had, I just thought that was interesting that that salamander appeared this morning. The other thing, I was on the dragon line here in Flagler Beach during the solstice, and I was with the Mary Magdalene sisters that I'm in the group here, the local group here, but they've been at all the chapels in France and Scotland and everywhere. And I was with them on the dragon line for the solstice doing ceremony. So the dragon's been coming up so strong, you know, a lot for me. And but yeah, so I guess that's pretty much what I wanted to share, that I feel yeah, I'm excited for the dream work, to work with the dragon energy. So thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to throw in there as well that we finished the last campsite we stayed in the night before getting the ferry is called the place between two rivers. So that kind of thing of two rivers in your picture, Melusine, I love. And yeah, and connections with Mary Magdalene again, you know, she's come up before. And it does feel like she's at the heart of a very ancient sisterhood of the rose, and that we're part of that wonderful magical journey. And yeah, just in our little group, you know, that thing where we're holding different morphogenetic fields in our countries and our ancestral lines, we actually have quite a lot of lines connecting in here, and that dragon energy. So we've only got a couple of minutes left. Lee or Tara, just wondering if there's anything you want to say, add. I know this Melusine is probably quite new as well. Don't have to say anything.
May I add something? Oh, okay. Tara wants to speak.
You guys are so far beyond my understanding of all of this. So I'm just enjoying soaking it all in and holding space. And, yeah. Thank you.
I love the way you receive Tara, because actually you don't have to understand it intellectually. It's just like take it in and absorb it at whatever level you receive it. So that's beautiful. Thank you for being here. Milena, do you want to say some last thing?
Yes. Once I took part in a group web call with a channeler, Judy Kali, and she was channeling mermaids. And I received the name of my mermaid. I mean, my lifetime in a mermaid world.
Oh,
and
cool.
the name means bubbling spring, and you said Melusine is connected with springs, or the other translation was leaping water. So I found it very I don't know, auspicious, and and also Patricia, my Chiron is in the 36 gene key, and the lizards detach their tails when a predator catches them, and they can regrow their tails. So and also, you know, this is, I corrected this version yesterday. So I feel this lizard archetype is also connected with rebirth. When a predator catches you, you lose a part of you, but you can regrow it. So, you know, that's what the lizard, that's the gift of the lizard. Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, actually, to be able to regrow an entire tail. Yeah, there is a message in there about healing, isn't there? Like a capacity for healing. So thank you, everyone. I posted in the tribe that I'm doing a free call with Bella from Unlock Your Design on Wednesday at the same time. It's called Dancing with the Dark Goddess, and I'm going to be talking a bit about Sedna. That one's free, and it introduces a 3-part session, which is, there's a cost involved in that, but the invitation is there in the tribe if anyone fancies joining. And otherwise, I will see you at daily meditation. And next Monday, I think we're going to do Magdalene next
Magdalene.
Monday. Yeah, so have a look at her in Taraka. I'm going to do a demo at 1:45 again. So if you don't know where Magdalene is in your chart and you want some help, just come along early and I'll do that with you.
Mhm.
Okay, well, lovely everyone. So excited to be back. And I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alison. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.